Long time ago, you might heard about extreme programming concepts. Some of you might heard those concepts. It was very popular at that time.
Looking at the S4 HANA on-premise, we still have IDocs. That's still proven technology, right? That's the known enemy, let's say, but we know how it works. We know how to use it.
So thank you so much for this explanation. But let me break it down because I think you're doing some controversial things here. Hello, everyone. My name is Michał Krawczyk, and welcome to another episode of Navigating SAP API Testing, the show where we talk about integration, about testing integration, which is a backbone of digital transformations. Last week, there was an official premiere date of a new SAP press book called Architecting EDI for SAP S4HANA. And together with me, we've got Marek Piaseczny, one of the co-authors of the book. Marek, welcome to the show.
Thanks. Hello. Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Marek. So alongside with Marek, we've got our head of products, Marcin Gałczyński, who will support us with topics covering EDI testing, which is also one of the chapters in the book. So welcome, Marcin, and thank you for being here.
Hello, Michał. Thank you very much for this fantastic opportunity, and looking forward to our conversation.
Great. So today we're going to be covering a very for at least for me a fascinating topic. So Marek, maybe I'll start with you. The first question. So why did you write a book about SAP the EDI in 2024? Isn't this a relatively old technology from the 70s?
No, it isn't. It isn't, and I would say two factors. One is that I spent many years in the B2B EDI area and did dozens of projects, so I have special feelings about this area, let's say. But more important is that the whole idea started like 2 years ago, and that was a time where we had few new features already within S4 and also on the SAP Integration Suite. But looking at the market, looking at the different customer companies, there are not many of them actually using all of this in the production implementation. So what we did, we set up a kind of internal mini project where we took EDI scenario and deploy it on the S4 HANA landscape with Integration Suite, and that was the base for the book. So actual fully functioning scenario.
Okay, so if I can maybe wrap it up, it was not only emotions, the fact that you really enjoy working with EDI scenarios because of your huge experience, but there is also a lot of changes.
Yes,
very often.
Sorry, and it was the intention also to verify what we have, how to use it, to learn, get the experience on this, because that was the main trigger.
Yeah, so I think very often when we look at new technologies, the ways of working are not that much known. So if there's a lot of things that have changed with respect to EDI that we'll be discussing today. So I think it's really good to discuss those, describe those. So now we have this SAP Press book. I hope that many people will also put out a lot of videos around those topics, because a lot of those things that we'll be covering today, I think they are not that much well known, at least to the wider EDI audience. But Marek, very often when we think about SAP integration, the topic that gets covered mostly, at least from what I'm seeing, is just the integration platform. We will come to the changes in the integration platform in a few minutes. But before, maybe I'd like to ask you this question. Do we have any EDI specific changes, enhancements coming with S4HANA that maybe were not available, or maybe we're working in a different way in the ECC world?
Yes, and it's so for first S4, you can't compare S4 to ECC, even if it may look the same, but it's different, right? So, and yes, we have some new features, and we have features which were already in ECC, but now in S4 they are updated, refreshed, and works a bit different, a bit more efficient, better. So we have the new output management with the business rule framework plus on top of that.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that? What do you mean the new output types and BRS framework,
The
BRF
success
plus framework?
NAST-based output control, which we had in the ECC. So now it's the technology of triggering output from the business document is a bit different. It's more flexible, I would say. You have the BRF Plus, where you can manage the business rules. You can maintain much more conditions. So, and it's shared not only for EDI but also for the print documents, all kind of output. So it's a step. Yeah, it is successor of the old output control with much more features, much more flexibility. So
And
that's
who would you say, Marek? Who would you say would be the person who would be configuring or customizing this new outputs? Because I remember in the past I think it was mostly functional consultants. Does it still say who would be configuring outputs or EDI outputs? Is it still the same?
yeah, that depends on organization. But my view is that integration is not only middleware. That's what you mentioned, right? So if you want to have a efficient solution, integration solution, you have to look end to end. And then back to the output management. Who will add the final entries? That's up to the organization. It can be local key user, even business key user, because that's the intention of BRF Plus, to simplify the maintenance, to expose it to the users even. So it depends, but you have both options. You can keep it on IT, but if it goes to the level of which customer, what document type, then I would say let's expose this to the key user, to the business user.
And Marek, is it that just for me? Is it still IDocs down there, or there's something else happening?
Yes, we still have IDocs, so that's looking at the S4 HANA on premise. We still have IDocs. That's still proven technology, right? That's the known enemy, let's say, but we know how it works. We know how to use it. But you also have the new features. You have the SAP gateway with the huge set of the APIs. You have the event notifications, so you have much more than in the old ECC, and it's I would say more efficient, more flexible in some ways.
Okay, so we've got the new output control. I believe that apart from the configuring options, one of the features that at least excites me is the ability to test the BRF Plus configuration out of the box, right? So BRF Plus has a configuration that allows anyone to test this configuration, right? So it's not that you have to send the real document; you can actually test it locally. Have you tried this also? Is it something that you also find useful for the EDI purpose?
We did play a bit with the BRF Plus. Yes, so yes, also this function, and just to add to this, it's not only for output management, right? So you can also use the BRF Plus in other areas, but that's broad topic. So
okay, so we have the new features for the output types. What about monitoring? Do we have anything new for the monitoring or for the development of those interfaces of the EDI interfaces?
yes, so we still have the SAP application interface framework. It's let's say again updated comparing to the ECC version, because it's not a new product, right? It's on the market for a long time, but in the S4 it actually has much more features. And then we have the SAP Fiori, and in SAP Fiori we have Fiori based application for message monitoring. So it's a completely different experience now. So instead of monitoring in the GUI, we have now dedicated standard SAP Fiori application for message monitoring, and these are also part of this EDI scenario and described in the book. So that's really one of the game changer, which is immediately seen by the end users.
Okay, so are you saying that the WE02 and WE05 transactions are now gone, or can we still
They are
use
still
them?
there.
But
If you go to the ABAP stack, you can find them, but actually in the in the actual projects, you can actually disable them or block them on the authorization, but exposing SAP Fiori is enough, and you have really the nice Fiori apps for checking what's going on, so no more
Okay,
WE2.
and AF is also available in Fiori, right? So this can
Yes.
be combined in a way, right?
Yes, these are the Fiori apps which rely on the AIF engine. So
Okay. So what I hear from you is that we have some enhancements on the S/4HANA for configuring the outputs, which can now be done with BRF Plus. We have some new monitoring features, like with AAF, Application Interface Framework. Okay, but let's get down to the integration platform topic. What about we've been hearing a lot about the new integration suite TPM or B2B capabilities, trading partner management and B2B capabilities. How does that tie? How does that fit into this picture?
it fits perfectly, I would say, and it's something we have never seen in SAP. We had the different integration platforms from SAP before, right? We had few of them. Now we have the integration suite, and the TPM, as you said, it's for in my view it's a game changer, because it's a complete framework for developing, configuring, running, and operating B2B EDI. So it's a complete solution where you get a set of tools, a few components to cover the whole life cycle of B2B EDI.
Okay, so it's not like we had with SAP Process Orchestration, where we had the B2B add-on, but in fact this was a very simplified, even though it enabled most processes, but it was something that you would put on the standard, maybe ICO, so integrated configuration, and enables you to do that. The TPM is, you're saying that is a bit different. It's a different approach to sending EDI messages.
It's much more. It's not necessarily different approach, but it's a
Mhm.
complete solution. So so the name TPM is actually only one module, one component. That's a trading partner management. But next to this, you have the integration advisor component, where you can define messages, define mappings with the huge library of standard EDIs and option to import custom EDI formats. So you have this integration advisor, trading partner management. You get the standard SAP package, which gives you the runtime pipeline. So you get the set of iFlows and scripts which you can deploy, and this will give you the complete pipeline with all the steps necessary for the EDI processing. So that's the third component, and on top of that, you have the dedicated B2B monitoring on the cloud integration, which is very transparent and efficient way to see how the processing goes, what's happening with the communication, and so it's a really complete solution.
Okay, so if I get this right, even let's take maybe the B2B monitoring. So this is a completely separate software, a completely separate software for monitoring B2B flows only, and this is not the solution that we would be using to monitor the standard integration suite flows, right?
Exactly. So you don't even need to know. It's a separate tab, separate component. So you don't even need to know the iFlow name. It's just if you after a proper configuration, all you need is, for example, the purchase order number, and that's your key for searching. Or you can use the customer number, customer name even. So you are not. It's on the higher level. So it's not on the technical layer of the cloud integration artifacts like the iFlow or message ID, but you can really make use of the functional or master data elements to search to identify what's going on.
Okay, so if I again can summarize, What you're saying is that the new integration suite B2B capabilities allow us to develop the B2B flows in a much simplified way, because a lot of predefined content exists. Like, for example, this monitoring, like the integration advisor, where we can download a lot of the different types of messages, where we can try to get the mappings and work on them in a different way than we would with the integration suite. But Marek, maybe one controversial topic, which I heard this question a few times already. What if, is it still possible to do to configure an EDI flow without the TPM, without all of this additional functionality? Let's say that someone wants to go with a very simple flow, but he doesn't want to use this new functionality. Is it still possible at
Yes,
all?
nothing is gone. So
Mhm.
yes, if you can still develop your own flow, iFlow, with
Mhm.
your own logic, processing pipeline, and the way to manage the trading partners. That's, you don't have to use TPM or none of its elements. You can develop the solution, B2B solution, in a way you want,
Mhm.
and it will work. But it will work if you have 5, 10, 20 customers, right?
Okay, so it's probably not scalable,
Indeed.
and mhm.
Indeed, it will work. It will be hard to maintain, to keep it running, to keep the change process, but it will work. But if we look at the typical cases with the big companies where we have hundreds of thousands of customers, then you need some kind of consistent, harmonized approach. And
Okay.
one of the big benefit of the TPM is, we're using them TPM, but that's the whole B2B framework, is that it's really open and flexible solution. So even going for TPM, the SAP framework, you are not forced to use all of the components, and it's not limiting you, right? So
Okay. Can you, because Marek, I've heard this question, this maybe this statement a few times already, but the TPM is very is making us just use all of the components of TPM. So we have to build everything as designed by SAP, and we would like to have a bit more flexibility. So are you saying that this is not true?
this is not true. You have all the flexibility you need, you may
Mhm.
imagine. So for example, you have the dimension integration advisor, right? To define the messages, to define the mappings. You don't have to use it. So
Mhm.
yes, you can define the mappings in the integration advisor. That has a lot of benefits, but it's not necessary. You can still run TPM and make use of mappings defined in the graphical way, in the Groovy, or imported from PI or any other system, right? So there is an option. It's a possibility. It's let's say allowed and open option to make use, reuse any other mappings than the ones coming from integration advisor. That's
Okay.
one of the options. Then even if you run the standard TPM pipeline, you have this 5, 6, 7 flows, processing flows. At each flow, you can connect your own custom processing. Yeah, so that there are
Mhm.
enhancement points, and you can enhance the mapping step, the pre-processing, post-processing. So there are enhancement points where you can link, you can trigger your own logic. So you
Okay,
can
so it's more
influence.
like the new SAP pipeline concept, which is supposed to work for everything more or less, but it's pre-delivered by SAP. So SAP is delivering all of those. Let's say maybe we can call them even user exits or enhancement points, where we can
Indeed.
plug in different functionalities.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, and maybe a question to you, Marcin. So most of the B2B related programs, whether these are migrations
Mhm.
maybe from SAP PO B2B add-on, or maybe migrations from other platforms
Mhm.
which used to serve as B2B components, like Boomi. If a customer is migrating to the integration suite from those old platforms,
Mhm.
um, what are the challenges? What are the challenges of testing that within within a project like this? If we want to move completely to Integration Suite and use it with S4HANA, what are some of the challenges?
Oh my, Michał, that's a big one. I
Yeah, we
think.
have to have open questions, Let's.
Well, assuming you migrate that, and you manage to do all the developments, and you manage to do all the change management related to contacting your business partners and agreeing that new URLs or new servers would be used for communication and so on.
The simple
Then
things. So the simple things.
yes, as the normal project job you have to do
Hmm.
anyhow, yeah.
Can
Then
you,
on top of that,
Martin, can you
mhm,
elaborate a little bit more on this? So you've mentioned that with a TPM program, with a B2B or EDI
mhm,
migration or migration or starting a new B2B program, we
mhm,
need to set up some of the things with communications. Can you tell us
mhm.
more what needs to be set up? Can this be somehow automated, or is this a manual job that needs to be done?
Well, I think this job could be mostly related to change management difficulty because it's not
Mhm.
something you can just set up on your own usually. I mean,
Mm.
if you have a van operator, for example, that sends you the EDI files, then you probably do not need to bother your customers, yeah, because
Mm.
the van operator will be in the middle, and you just change the way you talk with your van operator, which usually covers multiple customers. But if you have some direct links with the customers, if you use
Mhm.
APIs there and so on, I mean, you can imagine agreeing up with which partner, hey, I will be using now a new software. I will be using a new endpoint, or maybe we need to generate new certificates, and that's a simple job, usually a day of talking and sending some emails. And the complexity lies in the size of your business. If you have 100 of partners, then that generates you a workload, and you need a project to manage that on its own. So I guess that's a big complexity, and I think that's also what our customers are saying. Hey, yeah, great, development okay, testing okay, but we still have to do the change management. There's no way to automate that. So
Okay,
that's
so
it.
one
Hmm.
difficulty, if I get it right, you mentioned is before you start doing any sort of testing, is that you have to align you have to make sure that the systems can communicate with each other. So if you have a
Hmm.
lot of partners, maybe one, two, 500, you have to do this change management job. This is something that you would need to that you would need to
Hmm.
do. What is the second big thing? Okay, so I have the connections running.
Hmm.
Can I start asking my partners to send me, for example, 20 different variants of each transaction
Hmm.
every hour? Is that doable, or
Hmm.
how do I do this?
Well, as far as I've seen in the past projects, that is not so easy. And especially, I remember the cases from the automotive business where you can actually ask your partner to send your data, test data, but then you have to pay for it. Like,
Mhm.
so unless you have a good friend out there with each your customers, and then you can tell him, hey, I want to do some testing and please send me some data, that would be something difficult. I mean, there's much less people operating test systems around there than running a daily business. So obviously you don't have this opportunity, or you have it by a special arrangement, yeah, like in automotive, it's common to pay partners for those test messages.
Mhm.
So you can help yourself out by simply using the test data that you already have, yeah. So
Mhm.
if you're doing a migration, that means you're running this business, you're running those EDI messages already today, so you should be able to store them somewhere and then use them for testing. And that would be, I think, the best test data you can get, because that would resemble your real daily business operations. So you can think about taking that route. Okay, I can collect the data that I'm using on a daily basis, and then I can use that instead of asking somebody to send me something. I can use that as my data source for integration testing. So I guess that's a challenge in a way. I mean, you have to think about it. You have to do something. You have to start collecting the data early on to have proper, let's say, data sets. But you can do it. It's under your control. You don't have to get anybody's okay. You're having those messages already within your network. So that's something that you can actually easily, much easier than just ask people to send you more data. You can just start collecting it yourself. So the data
No.
part seems like a challenge, but one that you can easily manage within your organization.
Okay, and I guess you've also described particularly how the Int4 Suite works, right? So we can, for this kind of programs, we can, by using Int4 Suite, we can just
Mm-hmm.
collect the data from the old system and rerun it on the new system.
All
But
right.
I imagine this is working for the migrations. So if someone
Mm-hmm.
wants to migrate from SAP Process Orchestration to Integration Suite, maybe they want to migrate from Boomi or from any other integration
Mm-hmm.
platform to Integration Suite, they can use this approach. What if there is no integration platform in the past? Maybe the customer was using, as you mentioned, a van operator. Maybe they were using, there's some other way that the electronic communication was working, and now the customer wants to start using TPM and make sure that
Mm-hmm.
everything, that all of the EDI flows are going through the new integration platform, but they don't have the mappings. Maybe they can have some of the files, but they don't have the mappings. How to approach this project from the testing perspective?
Well, if the data flow was already there,
Mhm.
you would at least have some data that you can use for testing. Yeah. So
Maybe
at
let's
least
let's
some.
let's
Mm-hmm.
let's look at the case where we had a van operator in the
Mm-hmm.
past, and we want to move from the van operator to the integration suite to connect to the customers directly, because
Mm-hmm.
many of the customers, from what we're hearing right now, they want to take more responsibility, they want to be more agile by working on their own system. how,
Mm-hmm.
how do they how do they how do they design those new mappings? Do they have to do everything from scratch? How do they do it in a smart way?
Mm-hmm. I think, and here maybe even Marek can tell us a bit more about it. Uh, there is a lot of features already there in the SAP's toolkit that allows you to kind of automatically prepare or reuse some basic common concepts in the EDI mapping scenarios there in those tools. So I think there's an element of a kickstart there, and maybe Marek can tell us more about it in a moment. And then I think the next step is basically what we would call is a test-driven development approach. So
So what
again,
is what is the test-driven
mhm,
development approach for
mhm.
those kind of EDI programs? If you
Okay,
can.
yeah, long time ago, you might heard uh, about extreme programming concepts. Some of
Mhm.
you might heard those concepts. It was very popular at that time. It's supposed to have several aspects. One of them was programming in pairs. So you program and your polish looking through your shoulder and so on. There was wonderful concepts at the time. Some of them survived, and one of those concepts was write tests first. So they said before you even start writing your function, whatever, first write a test and then define what you expect. Yeah, and this is something where test-driven development is actually a continuation of that beautiful idea, which means that whatever you develop, your only way to say that it's okay or not is to actually test it, and then and you test early on. So you basically can even test in the middle and so on, and your next development steps are driven by the results of your testing. So basically, okay, you might not even have a specification. I mean, that's a crazy idea, but again, you
Mhm.
start with something. Usually, there would be some baseline mappings available. I mean, in those EDI formats, there are very common fields like quantities, material numbers, customer names. There could be some complexities there, of course, but some things are really basic. I mean, if you have a purchase order, you need to know where, who, how much, what are the items, what are the quantities. Yeah, so you can start with something, and then you can run your tests, and then you can see, okay, I'm missing this field, that field, that field, that field. Okay, so I need to work on it, and then if you have a lot and of good quality test data, then your test-driven development cycle means that when you as a developer or whoever you're employing as a developer has this test defined, and you have to, and you have a contract with him, hey, until those tests are okay, you don't release it any further. You don't even release it to QA. Then you can get actually a good quality development that is internally validated before it goes to the QA stage, where you actually have to do that one single connection to that customer and validate the communication. So I think that's an opportunity to be used.
Marcin, so thank you so much for this explanation, but let me break it down, because I think you're doing some controversial things here. So first of all, you said that we don't need a specification of the mapping, or we may not need a specification for the mapping. But what does that mean? What how does that work? Because you said we should have the tests, and before we start the development, can you explain a little bit more? A test of what? A development of what? If we're talking about EDI, what is the test? What is the activity that we will be testing actually? Or what is the development that we will have to do for this activity? If you can be a little bit more precise, because one of the things that I got from you right now is no Excel mapping specifications, probably. What Then that sounds really interesting, but what does that mean? What does that mean? How am I supposed to do it in reality?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think if you look into the SAP B2B solution specifically that Marek mentioned before, you will find some of a pre-packaged content, as they would call it. And there are specifically two types of objects. There are message implementation guides and mapping guides. A message implementation guide is basically a specification of the message. And as Marek said, or you said it, it's like 70s when they invented IDocs and EDIs. So it's in a structure is generally available. And then the mapping guides are where you actually define how one maps to another. And then again, there is some prepackaged content that you can use to start from. So even if you don't have any specification ready, because your van operator keeps it as their own knowledge that they make money on,
IP.
but you have some messages that you can download, and then you have those basic structures for mix and some basic components for the max, for the message mappings. Then you can start from something, and you'll build that basic flow in those tools, and you can read about that in Marek's book, how to build those flows. And day one you run testing, they don't work because you're finding some errors. But then if you can compare your output of your newly started initiated development to your historical data, then you will see, okay, it's not like a big problem. Now I have 5 fields missing, and with a little bit of thinking and reading, I should be able to understand how to put it all together. Or maybe ask your best friend ChatGPT, hey, what is this field about? They are quite good about understanding message specifications, so you can do that. But in the end, the thing that closes the cycle is testing. Yeah. So if you can download your historical messages from your van operator, and you should, because they are yours, they are not theirs.
Meaning input and output messages, right?
Input and
So we
output, of
have to,
course. Yes, of
by
course.
having the test,
Input.
you're meaning
Mhm.
that we need to have input and output,
Yes,
and then
of course, Michał.
we can try to work with MIG, MAGs, and probably also with the Marek. I don't know if you have any comments on the SAP proposal service. Is this something still that
Yeah. So
is used?
let me add you here. Yes. So part of this B2B solution on Integration Suite, we have the mentioned Integration Advisor, and it's let's say simplifying. It's a tool to define messages and to define mappings, but it's much more. So we have the set of library where we can choose all kind of EDI formats like the UN Edifact, ANSI, GS1, and IDocs, or whatever you wish as a standard definition. And then when you are about to define your own message, that means which data elements you want to use, right? So you define, I want to use the purchase order number, the item quantity, this kind of elements. You can make use of two additional features. You can use the sample message, Yeah, so you choose the orders, EDIFACT orders, and you use the sample EDIFACT file as an input. So based on this input, the tool will give you the definition, which data elements were used in the sample file, and based on this, you will get the message definition. So yes, you can use the sample files in this definition, and second, you can make use of the crowdsourced knowledge database. So if there are any other customers which already built some kind of mapping and activate the mappings or message definition, all this is exported to the, let's say, to the public repository, and you can make use of this. So if you define that you want to build a mapping for invoice in Germany in automotive, right? So making use of the crowdsourced database, you can pull a sample file, a proposal, how other customers did that in this area, in Germany, in invoicing, in automotive sector. And you
Okay,
get
so this is this proposal service that SAP
yes,
is mentioning, and it allows you to speed up the mapping, the delivery of the mapping, even though you may not have a specification. But the
indeed.
proposal service knows how how some segments of an input message were mapped to some segments
Indeed,
of an
for
output
a
message.
specific
Okay.
country, for a specific business area, process. So based on this criteria, you will get a proposal how the mapping should look like, and then you can modify, you can adjust, or you can accept it, and this would be your starting point. And yes, it's and the intention is that indeed you don't have any additional Excel documentation and because everything is within the integration advisor, where you at the end you can export the documentation from the tool. So you do all the changes, all the specification within integration advisor. At the end you can generate the Excel or Word document with a complete description of the mapping or message definition, and this is something you can share with your trading partners or use internally. So
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much, Marek. So maybe we can. I see some really nice comments. So maybe we can try to answer some of the comments, because actually they're in line with another controversial topic that I would like to mention. So if we go to first one from Mikayu, does your book describe inbound sales orders processing through IDoc or APIs? And maybe if I can add another topic to that, if you could answer this, are IDocs still relevant for EDI in S4 HANA? Can you explain maybe Mikayu and your view on this topic also?
okay, so let me answer a bit longer. So when we started with the book, that was something like 2 years ago. We started drafting the concept, the scope of the book, and honestly, the initial idea was that we do a small EDI scenario based on IDocs, and additionally we do a small EDI scenario with the API SOAP. But then we do some, that was 2 years ago, then we did some research, and we found out that there is not much interest in the API at that time, in moving the B2B EDI to the SOAP. So not many companies actually interested in changing the technology. So that was one factor. Second, when we go into details of the APIs, not everything was fully functioning. Looking at the complete business scenario, all the aspects like the output, the trigger, the functionality. So it wasn't fully functioning. It would work, yes, but with much more effort, some custom enhancements. So at the end, we rejected the idea. We decided to go for a bigger EDI scenario and complete EDI scenario on the IDocs, because that was more relevant at that time. And yes, I think the EDI as such is message based, right? The async processing. So I think that the IDocs are perfect fit for the EDI. but I will also surprise you that it's changing a bit. So I'm also changing a bit my point of view on that, especially that we see more and more move to the S4 public cloud.
Mm-hmm.
So
so over there, I think IDocs are not available, right?
indeed, and at this moment we see much more much more extended or fully functioning API. So that changed. Yeah, the
Okay.
APIs are now really improved and fully functioning, and you have no option. So yes, there will be a move to the APIs, and it's getting more and more possible and even required in the cloud, for example, public cloud. But there is also a still place for IDocs.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's we can say that it's also good to maybe in the public cloud that SAP did not expose the IDocs, right? Because then they have to make sure that SAP has they have to make sure that APIs are working. So maybe this is the way to move to the APIs. Just remove the old technology, and but still, I guess what you're saying is that IDocs are still working in the on-prem world. Everything is still working. Everything is still there, but
Yes,
in the cloud
and
public
if
cloud
you
world. Mhm.
and if you look at the B2B solution on the integration suite, the IDocs are also fully supported there, right? That's also from the standard SAP package.
Okay. Mhm.
The libraries, everything is supporting IDocs, so it's not going against the SAP. That's you have this full support for IDocs there. So
Okay, let's maybe jump to another question. So Sven is asking SAP Public Cloud API for creating IDocs. So I think Sven, maybe if we can answer this question, I guess there are no we cannot use IDocs in the public cloud, right? So it's only the APIs that can be used, Sven. So you
yes,
cannot
and
use IDocs. You have to go for the APIs.
I would extend this question, guys. I mean, let's be honest to Sven. I think
Mhm.
that was also my idea. Why wouldn't I just take IDoc payload like an XML or something and send it through an API? Why, man, that
Mhm.
should work.
Yeah.
But I guess it's not there, Marek. Yeah, you cannot just
no,
use
but
an API to send an IDoc content.
no, that will not work. It's a different structure, but no, if you so I'm more open for the idea of API in the EDI world. And if you go to the SAP public cloud, it makes sense to look closer and use the APIs. Or you may not have the IDoc option, yes, but yeah, if you go to the SAP S4 cloud public, API would be the choice, yes. But then you need to be aware it's a bit different than IDocs, right? It's a different technology, different structure. So you have to learn, you have to get the different experience. So it usually higher effort and cost, but it makes sense, and
It's
that's the way
possible.
forward. Yeah.
But I think Sven is also saying BAPIs are behind APIs. So it's always the case with SAP, right? Whether these are IDocs or APIs, they are the same BAPIs on the other side. So in some cases, I think it can vary, right? For the sales orders, it's not there. It's not because it was a different technology used for IDocs. But for many of the IDocs, it's just a BAPI call wrapped around the IDocs. So okay, there's another question. I don't know if you guys know this answer. Do we need additional license for the TPM? I believe it's there in the standard enterprise agreement for the integration suite. So I don't
Yes.
think there's a
To
separate
my knowledge,
license for
yes.
this.
Now in the new indeed enterprise edition, it's there. So you only charge for the It depends on your agreement, but most likely you charge per message number, per the volume. So that's the only measurement here. So not so the usage of the components is, let's say, included, but you of course charge for the volume, message volume.
We have another question from Ashish, can we use SAP Cloud ALM to integrate with TPM for failure alerts sent to business?
At the end, in the background, you have the normal message processing on the iFlows. So yes, so the standard message processing on ILM can also capture the B2B messages. But I think this is something what I would propose to investigate, because you also have the really good monitoring within the AIF on the backend side. You have the new B2B monitoring on the Integration Suite. And also one of the new feature in the AIF is that you can get already the Integration Suite can send notification to the backend already if there is something failing, right? So if you have inbound order from the trading partner and the inbound order is failing on the cloud integration, this failure can already go to the backend system, to the AIF monitoring, and can be seen by the end user that there is something stuck on the middleware. Yeah, so so I would look closer at the scenario, what you want to achieve. That there are a couple of components for monitoring, alerting, and
Yeah, so Ashish, maybe if we can also reply to your question in such a way. So AIF is also the framework which the business users are using to monitor EDI, whether actively or proactively using alerts. So Cloud ALM is maybe a slightly different creature from our understanding, and this is not a place where the business users would immediately go to validate issues. They would usually go to the business transactions, which is in this case an AIF, if that makes sense also. Okay, guys. So maybe with respect to the time, one last question to you, Marek. So if you could tell us a little bit more, who is your book for? Who is the audience of your book? Should this book be should everyone read the book from the beginning to finish, or can we just go through some different chapters? Are different chapters for different types of people? Can you maybe elaborate who is your book for?
okay, so maybe shortly what you can find in the book. So there are two main parts. So one part of the book is a description of the short introduction to the S4 and the integration technology and the EDI standards. So that's a theory you can read. You can get some idea what we have there in this SAP ecosystem integration. That's
So
one
this is
part.
for new people maybe who are just new
Yeah.
to EDI and just want to get familiar with EDI on a general level.
Even
Right? So
in the SAP technology and SAP integration in general, even not the B2B EDI, but in general IT technology, SAP technology, and the integration. So that's a description on what we have in the SAP world currently.
Mhm.
And then the second part of the book, that's more that's full step-by-step instruction how to configure the full EDI scenario on this S4 ecosystem. So it's starting with the short description of the business process, the technical design, and then we go through all the components and we do the configuration. So if you follow this second part of the book step by step, then you can recreate the whole scenario in your environment and you can execute. So it's really detailed guideline what you have to do to activate, to connect the components, to build the mappings, to configure the yeah. So that's the two parts of the book.
Okay, so the second part, if I get, is more for the people who are doing the development of those scenarios. So this can be both the SAP functional consultants, maybe like order to cash, purchase to pay, but also the integration developers working on
All kind,
or
yes,
integration architects working on the integration
indeed,
platform.
indeed, all kind of integration and technical developers from the SAP community. But I would even say for non SAP people who are doing any other EDI project in the non-SAP environments. I think they would also get benefit of having a look how SAP is doing this to get a different perspective to compare.
And Marek, just a quick one. Did you put there anything about testing?
Yes, there is one
Okay.
chapter. So after building the solution, we have a chapter where we execute the full scenario end to end, so you can see that it's actually working, and we create the outbound deliveries, invoices, and then after that we have one full chapter on testing, on automating testing, how this whole framework and solution can be tested in the automated way. So it's there, you can find it. And
Okay, so this is the part for the people who would be interested in making sure that everything is working. So either for the testing teams, also for SAP functional consultants, probably also for integration developers. For example, with the approach that Marcin described, which is the test-driven development. So if you need to develop something from scratch and test it immediately, this is also a chapter that they can have a look at.
Yeah, at the end we have one additional chapter on the APIs, just to show just to show what's there behind the SAP gateway, and one example where we configure the API to work. So that's also there. So I think it's a complete complete view on the options, on the detailed configuration.
Okay, perfect, guys. So thank you so much. Thank you, Marcin, Marek. Thank you for all of your thoughts. So once again, the title of Marek's new book is called Architecting EDI for SAP S/4HANA. And as you saw on the screen right now, you can get this book with a 50% discount with the code that is being displayed here. Yeah, and please join us on the next episode of Navigating SAP API Testing, where we show how to simplify your SAP programs related especially to SAP integration. Please subscribe and link us on LinkedIn, and we hope to talk to you next time. And thank you for the great questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.